Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in this video I am showing you all the books I've been acquiring over spring. So it's currently almost June when I'm filming this. I'm here with my iced matcha and I just feel like spring is like well and truly here in the UK and it's very, very exciting. We are kind of like, I feel, getting into summer. So I wanted to do this big roundup of all the books that I've managed to acquire since my last book haul. I'll leave that link down below if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet. So you can kind of keep track of all the books that I've been acquiring over the past few months. So I'm really excited about all of these books. I think there's definitely a theme. There is a lot of fantasy here and I'm really, really excited about fantasy again. I'm really in my romantasy era. I mean, when have I not been, really? If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I absolutely adore romantasy. And there's some really good romantasy books here as well. Grab yourself a springtime beverage and let's get cracking with my book haul. Okay, so let's get cracking on the paperbacks first because there's quite a few. So just a little disclaimer, some of these I've bought myself, some of these have been sent from publishers. I am on a lot of publishers' PR lists, so I do get quite a lot of offers for proof copies, and of course I don't accept all of them, just the ones that I actually want to read. To kick off, I saw this book on Amazon for really, really cheap and I was like, I have to get it. This is the first fantasy book from Ali Hazelwood. This is Bride and this is a werewolf romantasy. I'm so excited to read this. I've heard it's incredible. This came out a month or two ago, I believe. So this book follows Misery, who is the only daughter of a vampire councilman of the Southwest. She's been called upon to uphold a historic peacekeeping venture between the vampires and the werewolves. Basically, this is a marriage of convenience between the vampires and the werewolves, and Misery has to marry the alpha of the werewolf pack. I historically was a huge Twilight fan, and I feel like this is just like, for all the Twilight girlies who've kind of grown up still reading romantasy, here it is. I'm really, really excited. I've heard great things about this one, and I have read Ali Hazelwood before, so I really do feel confident that this book's just gonna be really good fun. And that's what you want from kind of a romantasy book like this, so I am buzzing about Bride. Do let me know if you've read this down in the comments below. Next, I have a non-fiction book, which is different from the rest of the fantasy and romantasy that I have for you in this haul. This is The Success Myth by Emma Gannon. Now, I'm a huge fan of Emma's. I have been since her first book, Control Alt Delete, and I actually have a video with Emma on this channel as well, because I just think she is such a voice for kind of like my generation in terms of like millennials, and she's had a really interesting career path and interesting trajectory as well. And in The Success Myth, this book, she really kind of asked the question, like, what does success mean, and like how we are taught to achieve and do our best at all types of things and kind of have that like career path up. Like, what does that actually mean? And she kind of investigates that in this book. Basically, I'm having a bit of a wobble, I guess, in terms of like what success means to me, because this is quite deep. Are you ready for a deep chat? Get your like coffees and teas ready. But basically, if you're like me, you are a perfectionist, and since childhood, we're kind of like brought up to get the best grades, get the best career, don't stop until you reach the absolute top of that career path. And in some ways I have followed that path without even questioning if that's something I really want. And I'm kind of reaching a stage where I have gotten to the kind of top of my career in some ways. And now I'm kind of like, well, what's next? What else is success defined as? Surely it isn't just a career. And so that's why I wanted to buy this book and just evaluate all of the things that are buzzing around in my head. I'm sure some of you can appreciate that as well and can relate. But I love Emma. She is brilliant. Do follow her online because like she is just an incredible person to follow and really intelligent, really on the pulse of like society and asking all the right questions and often ahead of the curve in so many ways. So I'm really excited to read this book and do some soul searching. Now, the next book is a proof copy that was kindly sent to me from Simon & Schuster. And when I tell you that this is one of my most anticipated books, full stop, I am so, so excited. This is publishing in September 2024, and this is The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. Now, Catherine Doyle is one of my fave authors. The first series was a Mafia YA romance series, which I absolutely devoured and loved. And then she, of course, wrote the Twin Crowns series with Katie Weber as well. And this is her new romantasy YA series, starting with The Dagger and the Flame. And look how gorgeous, hopefully you can see that, the kind of front cover is going to be. I'm so excited about this. So I actually got sent a proof from the publisher, which I'm very grateful for. And as I mentioned, this comes out in September. This is basically enemies to lovers romantasy. And the back says, in the dark underbelly of the magical city of Fantôme, two rival assassins are pitted against each other. In their deadly game of revenge, the most dangerous mistake of all is falling in love. Forgiveness or vengeance, kiss or kill, dagger or flame. I'm obsessed. I need to read this like yesterday, so I'm really excited about this. I'll let you know my thoughts. Now, two books that I have already shown on this channel, and I'll leave a link to the video where I showed them, because I went to New York recently and I had a whale of a time. One of the days we actually went to Brooklyn and I visited Books of Magic, which is a bookshop there, and also The Ripped Bodice, which is a romance-only bookshop. And it was my bucket list item to go to The Ripped Bodice, because we don't really have a similar bookshop here in the UK that's only romance, and I knew that I needed to go and see this bookshop. And I bought two books, which I'm really excited to show you about. So I did haul these books and also some merch I got as well in my New York City bookshop vlog, so I'll leave that down below. Do make sure you watch that. I really enjoyed making it, and if you just want some wanderlust, some escapist content, hopefully you will enjoy that video. But the first book I got was Phoenix Unbound by Grace Draven. This is book one in the Fallen Empire series, and Grace Draven is an author I've already read before. I read Radiance, which is her, I would say, her most popular book. The issue is, I didn't love that book, and I think it's because at that point I wasn't regularly reading romantasy, and I didn't really have a lot of romantasy to compare it to, but I have heard incredible things about Phoenix Unbound. Most recently, this has appeared on Reagan's channel at Peruse Project, and she really rated the duology, I think, for Phoenix Unbound. And I don't know what the sequel's called, but yeah, she really rated both books. But I'm really keen to read this. I do want to give Grace Draven a second chance because I know she's a really good writer, but Radiance just wasn't it for me. Like, it just, something about it, I don't know, just didn't hit the spot. So it says, a witch blazes but does not burn, a gladiator bleeds but does not break. Together they will challenge the empire which sought to destroy them. So I have heard amazing things about the series, and do let me know if you've read this as well, what you think of Grace Draven. Is this better than Radiance? Let me know what you think. And the other book I picked up in the Ripped Bodice bookshop was Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. Now, this is also an author I've read before, and also an author where I didn't love the book that I read. So I read the first book of Laura's other series, and that was called Rhapsodic, and that was called the Bargainer series, I think. I do want to continue that series at some point, but The Bargainer, I listened to it on audio, and I think it just wasn't the best audio production, so I really lost interest along the way and wasn't thrilled about my experience reading it. But Pestilence is the start of another series by Laura Thalassa, and this is the Four Horsemen series, which, as you can tell by the title, is about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Such a cool idea. So this is obviously Pestilence, follows one of the four horsemen. So they are pestilence, war, famine, and death. And they are four horsemen riding their screaming steeds, racing to the corners of the world, four horsemen with the power to destroy all of humanity. They came to Earth and they came to end us all. And basically this horseman, Pestilence, takes our main character, Sarah, prisoner. She tries to stop him when he comes to her town, and she is like hell-bent on trying to destroy him. And of course they will end up falling in love, I imagine. And I'm really excited about this. I've not read anything like this with kind of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I do think it's going to be quite a unique romantasy, and I'm really buzzing to read this. I will let you know my thoughts. Now, the next book is a pre-order that I made a while back, and recently this has just come out, and this is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, who, one of my all-time favorite authors. I adore Leigh's books. Like, I will read anything that she puts out, especially when she is writing historical fantasy, which is one of my all-time favorite genres, and I'm so excited about this book. I've heard mixed things. I think, like, It's obviously quite a short book, and I have heard that a lot of the world building could have been expanded, but I'm going to reserve all judgment until I've actually had a chance to read this. So this is the gorgeous Waterstone Special Edition. As you can see, we've got a lovely sprayed edge, and look at those end pages. I mean, wow, this is absolutely stunning. So I will always pre-order a special edition. There's just something so nice about them. But let me read you what this book's about. So this follows Lucia, who is living in a shabby house in the capital of Spain, in Madrid, and she's a magic user. She uses like petty magic to help her get through her tasks working in servitude in this household. But when her mistress discovers that she's using this magic, she hands her over to the royal court. Now, Lucia is determined to better her fortunes. Obviously, she's been brought into this world of royalty, of riches, and she is determined to come out of this better, you know, in a better position. But she must hide the truth of her ancestry, and she requires the help of a familiar who is immortal and whose own secrets could cost her everything. Now, I love the fact that this is set during an actual historical time period in Spain, and also features the magic and the fantasy elements that we love Leigh Bardugo's writing so much for. It doesn't actually give you a date of like when this is set, but I think that's fine. I have a feeling it's like 17th century or 16th century. It does mention the Inquisition, so yeah, who knows, but I'm really, really excited about this book. Now, the next book is a proof copy that I kindly received from Scholastic, and this is Beastly Beauty by Jennifer Donnelly. So this gorgeous little paperback, and this is basically a gender bent Beauty and the Beast, I'm pretty sure. So this is obviously a reimagining of Beauty and the Beast, but Arabella, our main character, is the one who has been cursed, and she has basically managed to curse her entire castle. And in order to break this curse, she obviously must find love. And that's when Beau, who is a handsome thief, comes into the castle, and he finds himself drawn to Arabella, and you can guess what happens from there. So I'm really intrigued by this one. I do like a reimagining of a classic fairy tale. One thing I will say, I'm not sure if this is like the most original, like there have been gender bent versions of Beauty and the Beast before, but I'm really intrigued to see Jennifer Donnelly's take on this, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. Okay, so the next two I'm really, really excited about. So I recently joined Fairy Loot's romantasy only book box, and I got my first two books in the mail. So the first book was Lore of the Wilds by Annalise Sabrana. Now this is actually like great that this was included in the first book box from the romantasy only Fairy Loot, because this book's actually been on my most anticipated list for this year, which I'll leave a link to the video down below so you can see. But this book I'm already anticipating. So when I found that it was in the box, I was like, result, this is great. This edition is stunning. So obviously the cover itself is beautiful. Then we have these like little mushroom end pages, and it comes with like a foiled, guys, foiled end pages. I don't know how well you can see that, but like as like a publisher, you know, I work in publishing. Having foiled end pages like this is insane. Like that is a very, very cool, high production value. I didn't even know you could foil the inside of the end pages, but so cool. And look at this. Is that not the most stunning thing you have ever seen? I am in awe. And also it's a reversible jacket. There you go. I mean, I have no words. Fairy Loot have knocked it out of the park. So let me tell you what this book's about. So it says, a library with a deadly enchantment, a fey lord who wants in, a human woman willing to risk it all for a taste of power. So this is described as the perfect cottagecore book about books with a love triangle that will keep you guessing. So I'm really, really excited about this. I think it sounds amazing. There is a library, there are fae. I'm obsessed. So I'm really excited to read this one. I will let you know my thoughts. Do let me know if you've already had a chance to read Lore of the Wilds and what you thought about it. And the second book that was in the Fairy Loot romantasy only book box is A Curse of Blood and Wolves, and this is by Melissa McTiernan. So I believe this is the box that has just come out, so probably as you're watching this, the previous month, if that makes sense. So I haven't had a chance to properly like dive into what this book is about, but I think it's a contemporary werewolf romance. It's a beautiful book regardless. Like look at these end pages. I mean, absolutely beautiful. And then We have a hunky man, of course, and yeah, an absolutely beautiful foiled naked book, which I'm obsessed with. So this sounds great, genuinely. So it says, can you be drawn to someone you've never met? When Ruby feels the eyes of a stranger in the woods, she knows she should be scared, that she should run away, but she can't. Instead, she feels a thrill, feels drawn to this stranger who follows her in the woods, yearns for his eyes on her every night as she walks home, hoping to hear the crunch of leaves under his feet that signals he's there. Will he ever reveal himself? A steamy reimagining of Little Red Riding Hood. This sounds good, but equally like, I have a weird thing about the stalking element, you know? I mean, I think the only time it's kind of like worked is when I read Haunting Adeline, and that's a book series by H.G. Carlton, which is a dark, very, very dark romance. So in that book, I feel like it kind of like mirrored the darkness of the rest of the book. With this, I'm like, she just falls for this random guy who's stalking her. So anyway, I'll reserve judgment until I've read it. But initially I'm a little bit like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, you know? We will see. I'm gonna withhold my judgment, as I mentioned. So I'm hoping that one is really good as well. Okay, so we have another pre-order that I pre-ordered. This is Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. This is the second book in the Godkiller series, which I absolutely devoured the first book of. Godkiller last year. I absolutely loved that book, and this is book 2. So I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers because a hell of a lot went down in that first book. But basically the series follows Kissin, who is a god killer, and she is trained in killing gods, as you imagined. And then she meets a god that she cannot kill, and it kind of changes her perspective on gods that she has been brought up to despise. And she's kind of like on a quest with a band of people who, you know, she kind of like grows closer to. She's always been quite a solitary, lonely figure, and they have an epic quest at the end of this journey for them. So then Sunbringer, I think, will be very, very dramatic, and I'm really, really excited to see the continuation of Kissin's journey. But I'm super excited about this. If you like properly old school fantasy with like epic gods, then you will really like the series. It reminded me of like a classic epic fantasy, so I absolutely can't wait to read Sunbringer. The jacket is absolutely stunning, so I'm really, really keen to get around to reading this one very, very soon. Now the next book that I recently bought is one that I've actually already read, which is good going for me, because usually with these book hauls I have not read the books yet. But anyway, I read Belladonna recently, and this is by Adeline Grace. So I've been meaning to read Belladonna for a very long time. I know the second book's already out. I don't think the third book is out yet, if I'm not mistaken. But basically this is a really, really cool, I think it's YA series about a woman who can see death. And she can see ghosts, and basically she has this kind of like relationship with death, who she's been able to see since she was a young child. And basically our main character, Signa, who is able to see death, is basically passed around from house to house because she's orphaned, and every single house that she manages to stay at, distant relations, all end up dying. And she ends up at this kind of crumbling old manor house, and where her kind of long lost aunt has recently died, and her cousin is on the way to death as well. She has to uncover the mystery of their death and also grapple with her own powers and ability to see death whilst all this is going on. So this is super great, super gothic. I've really, really enjoyed this. I think I gave it 4 stars or something. Really enjoyed Belladonna and would recommend it. We only have a few more books to haul, but the next one is The Shadow Key, and this is by Susan Stokes Chapman. This is Susan Stokes Chapman's second book, I want to say. Her first book was Pandora, which is on my bookshelf somewhere, and I'm super excited about this book. Harville Secker reached out to me and asked if I wanted to receive a copy, and I did, so I'm really, really pleased to have received this, and thank you to Harville Secker for sending this my way. The package came with like this beautiful bookmark. I mean, I'm always a fan of a foiled bookmark. So this is a historical with a speculative like fantasy twist, and it's set in the 1700s in Wales. So let me just kind of read you what it's about. So it's set in Merionid in 1783, and Henry Talbot, who was dismissed from his post at a prestigious London hospital, has to go to a backwater place in Wales to find a job. He's got no other option. He can't speak the language though. Everyone is speaking Welsh, and in this town, in this area, belief in myths and magic are still very much prevalent. But when Henry discovers his predecessor died under very mysterious circumstances, he is determined to find out the answers as to why. Then also living in this place is someone called Lynette, who is a mistress of a big kind of like manor house. She lives a very lonely life. Her father passed away and her mother is kind of haunted by like demons, in the sense of like she is mad and kind of is shut away. And so she has no other option than to just be self-reliant and care for herself. And she's always suspected there's something wrong with the village. So then her and Henry team up and investigate and uncover a dark secret. So this sounds amazing. This is definitely the type of book that is like so up my street. So I'm really excited to read The Shadow Key, and I will let you guys know my thoughts hopefully soon. And the final book was kindly sent to me from Galance, and this is Your Blood, My Bones by Kelly Andrew. Now, Kelly Andrew was the author of The Whispering Dark, which is also somewhere on my shelves. I need to read that very, very soon as well. The list is endless, guys, of my unread books. Now, this genuinely sounds amazing. This is out now. It's described as a seductively twisted romance about loyalty, fate, the lengths we go to hide the dark parts of ourselves, and the people who love those parts most of all. So this is basically about Wyatt, who inherits this kind of like country estate, this kind of farmhouse, and she is determined to destroy it. She's determined to just like get rid of it and end the farmhouse. But then she discovers Peter, who's the kind of childhood best friend that she has kind of lost contact with, strung up in the basement and left for dead. Now, Peter is semi-immortal, and his one goal is ending that family line, of which Wyatt, our main character, is the last descendant. So they have to band together to solve the mysteries of this place, but equally, like, he needs to destroy her, and she is very aware of that fact. So they form a romance under kind of like very dark circumstances. So I would say this is kind of like a romantasy twist. I'm really intrigued by this book, and I've heard great things about Kelly Andrew's books, so I really do want to read this one soon, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. So guys, that's it for today's book haul. There are lots of amazing books here that I'm really excited to read. I do hope you've spotted some that you're going to be adding to your TBR, and that I've enabled you to maybe buy some more books. Always a good thing. And if you did enjoy this video, why not click that subscribe button if you're new around here. I'd love to have you join this community, and also that way you will never miss a video from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon in my next one. Bye.